What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the No Cap Space, a very special luxury tax. It's been a minute since we had a luxury tax. I guess players are a little bit busy this time of year, here and there. But Tyler and Andrew holding it down with our special guest, Notre Dame, Sonia, Citron. Get the horns out, get it all out. Sonia, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yes, of course. Again, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm genuinely so excited to talk to you because Sonia, for my rating and just, for my money's worth, you are one of the most underrated players in the entire country. And I'm so excited to get to chop it up with you and everything. I just generally starting off here, for this Notre Dame program, I am so excited that you guys are having the year that you are having. And obviously the injuries and everything have just been a plague over the past, however many seasons, really. And it seems like you guys have finally been able to get all the pieces in and everyone is kind of fitting into place. And you find yourself at the time recording this near the very, very top of the nation. I'm just from kind of an inside perspective of the program and everything. We talked to Olivia prior to this season, but now that you guys are in this spot, what's the excitement? Just that, how much fun are you guys having playing together at this point? Because you guys haven't really had the chance to do that much over the past couple of years.
Yeah. I think you kind of hit it spot on. Freshman year to now, there's always just been pieces that people either got hurt or and it always seemed to be at the worst time too. Mm-hmm. So we never Liv was out last year. So I got to play with her my freshman, sophomore year. Then I didn't get to play with her and she didn't get to play with him. All these missing pieces. This year, Maddie was out for a little. Now she's back. Liza was out. All these pieces are just out. But now that we're finally all, for the most part, back together, we still got some injuries. But for the most part, all the people that you would expect are back. And it's amazing. I think we're honestly just touching the surface because I still think we have a lot. We can get a lot better, just learning how to play with each other and stuff still. But yeah, it's amazing. I love playing with such talented girls. So I think we're all having a blast and we're just excited to see where we can keep going.
I think that's the thing that hits me anytime I watch you guys is you guys seem to have a lot of fun. The vibe just seems so light on the floor. And does that translate everywhere with you guys, be it practice, off court? I guess what goes into, as a leader and a senior leader at that, cultivating and maintaining a fun locker room? How do you do that?
Yeah. I think it helps that we all get along. So that's obviously, if you like each other, that's a good thing. But we all love each other. And then we just, basketball is fun, period. It's when you're not overthinking, when you're not worried about what's going to happen and you're just playing the game solely to have fun. I think that's when we play the best. And when you have people like Hannah that are just, she's practice, she's either dancing, singing, just smiling while she's making people turn it over. It's
that's
just
wicked.
Yeah, that. It's contagious. When I see Liv doing these through the leg pass it, it's just all contagious. So it's honestly hard not to have fun.
Do you feed as a team off Hannah in that way? Because I love the idea that she kind of loves the heel role. She does the Christian Laettner thing of I'm going to go into your house and I'm going to yell at your fans and I'm going to put up 30 and I'm going to just kind of lean into the performance nature of all of it, right? Is it easy to watch that and be okay, it's time for me to turn up too? How much of a tone setter is that when you guys are on the road in different environments specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. We always say we go as she goes, just because when you have somebody that plays like her and that just acts like her, it is very, very contagious. And when she's silencing the crowd or shushing the crowd, or flexing on some, things like that, it definitely gets us very hyped. Okay, is that what we're doing? All right, you gotta kind of keep it up with her, But yeah, she's amazing. She's an amazing player. I think everybody knows that, but just that side to her definitely helps us. I remember last year I think we were playing NC State in the ACC tournament, and she like got a turnover or something like that, and she like slid on the floor, and a photographer caught a picture of her sliding on the floor, looking at an NC State girl smiling as she's sliding on the floor. And we were like, Hannah, this is the craziest picture. She's unbelievable. I can't.
So like I got to see it firsthand for the first time. It's like I'd seen y'all play before. Look, I mentioned before I'm from Oklahoma. That March Madness game here. That was the first time seeing Notre Dame. That went a little differently than maybe anticipated. But I was at the USC game and watching Hannah it's crazy. And it's like it's like she's not even breaking a sweat. But like I feel like kind of to the point on the defensive side of the ball as well, like kind of mixing what we were just talking about. But you've seen teams that are like locked in on the defensive side of the ball, and you see teams that are very serious on the defensive side of the ball. But for you guys, I don't know if I've seen a team have as much fun stopping another team. And you even mentioned like how like Hannah will just be like smiling at people like as this happens. I'm just interested like from that perspective of just like the enjoyment of stopping another team like in that way. Like it feels like you guys get more enjoyment and like satisfaction maybe more than other teams that I feel like when they're on defense they might be a good defensive team, but it's very locked in. I just for you guys, whether it be like as a team as a whole or anything, like what is the message on the defensive side of the ball specifically? Because I've heard Niele talk about it as well, like how impressed she's been with your guys' defense this year. What is just kind of like the mentality and the message? Because I feel like you guys visually watching it are just very unique in the personality that you guys play with on defense.
Yeah. I mean, I think from the start of the season, even before it started, we talked about how everyone obviously knows like we're going to be a good offensive team just with the players we have, but we wanted our identity to be our like defensive part of the game. So I think we've been trying really hard just to set that tone because we know that like if we're stopping teams defensively, that means that we can get out and transition. That means that we can play the game that we want to play. So it kind of all starts on defense. Like we can't rely on our offense because when you play another team that's just as good offensively, like we want to be able to rely on something. And again, like offense is very much like if you're making shots, all is going well, like that's good. But what happens when we're not hitting our shots? You know, like we got to have that part to our game where, okay, we're not like hitting as many shots as we want, but it's okay because we're still holding the team below their average or something. You know what I mean? So I think that's just always been our mentality. And again, when you have somebody like Hannah, that is just like wreaking havoc and we get to be a part of that because we know like, oh, she might go for that steal. So I got to have her back. So it's kind of like, she's more of a feisty player in that way. Yeah. And we have like others that, will help in that spot or, you know what I mean? And I mean, like defense is really fun when we're all like clicking, like, oh, she helped me, so I'm gonna help her. And we're just like, our rotations are there. I think we do have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah. I know that we as media gravitate towards the players that kind of do the performance type stuff, right? And I feel like on your end, you're so underrated from a leadership perspective, at least in my opinion, because I feel that you are the here and you need that person to be the here. How has your leadership style evolved over the last handful of years? And have you learned or figured out where to pick your spots to inject your own emotion and performance into things, you know? Because to be here is one component, but that also means that when you do utilize your voice, it's like, Sonia's telling us we got to get our shit together here. You know what I mean? Like, have you figured out what those spots kind of are?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely been a long road just because, I mean, I've always been a more reserved, more shy person. But so freshman, sophomore year, like I got to play with people like Dara, Mabry, Lauren, Ebo. So, and Dara being one of my best friends, I learned a lot from her just because she was someone that I looked up to when I was a freshman and a sophomore. Like she was my captain, you know, and I really listened to her and respected her. And then like junior, senior year came obviously. And as they started leaving, like me and Maddie, Liv, like we were the new, like I realized like, oh, okay, wow, like Dara's not here anymore. So like, oh, it's me, And so it definitely took getting used to, just because I'm not the most vocal person, but I realized like you don't have to be the most vocal person to be a leader, but you do have to, like I did have to practice like being louder and using my voice. Not being the loudest person, I don't think I ever will be, but again, just learning how to use my voice in a way that my team is going to listen to me. And so, yeah, I mean, it definitely took practice, but I think it's like the perfect combination of like when you have people like Hannah, when you have people like Liv, that might be more fiery. Like I know what they're going to do, and then they know what I'm going to do. So I'm going to be the person that maybe just keeps it like, okay, we're good. Like, no, like, let's just get back to being us, like calming people down. Whereas Hannah might be the one that's going to be like, all right, like, you know what I mean? Like fire up.
Yeah.
It's like that different like dynamic that works. Especially with like, I know Maddie is similar to me. So we kind of are always the ones that are like, I hope like a calming presence, like that kind of leader. But then again, like stuff happens in practice or in games where like I'm never going to like yell at somebody. I'm not like, all right, like we do have to get our stuff together, So yeah, so it definitely took a while, but I think I still have more work to do. I'm always going to be learning how to like be a captain and a leader in ways, but I do think I've gotten a little better.
Yeah.
I'm interested for you. One thing that I love about this team, and I think on the outside looking in, it feels like Niele has struck such a good balance of like, obviously she is the coach, but having the leadership of these players and allowing you guys to express yourselves, whether it could be anything from on the court to like the fits off the court and everything. Like it feels like it's such a perfect balance of, yes, Notre Dame is the program that it is and the history that it has and the legacy of that, but also the individuals on this team are again getting to express themselves in that way. I'm interested from your perspective, like whether it be your individual relationship with Niele or how you see Niele like kind of just treating the team and the culture of Notre Dame right now. How do you kind of see that of both the balance of players being able to lead in the way like in their own different ways versus the coaching staff and obviously the impact that they have on the program?
I mean, again, I think there's a perfect combination. I think Coach Ivy is amazing at doing it, where we have our freedom, where she expects us to perform and do certain things. But at the same time, like we're kids, like we're young, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to do things we're not supposed to. And that's where she's going to come in and like, she'll tell us off, as she should. But there definitely is that perfect, like, mutual respect and trust. I think trust is the biggest thing. Like she trusts us to do what we have to do. I mean, we are an older, more experienced team. We have like Leah too. We have Liza. They're both grad transfers. Just a very, very experienced older team. So I think there's just, again, that mutual trust there where she knows that we're going to do what we have to do. She trusts us to figure it out on the court in practice. Like she doesn't want to have to micromanage us.
Yeah.
And I think she's done a good job of just teaching us, like in practice, she teaches us what to do so that in games or on the court, like we can figure that out for ourselves. And then if we need help, she's always there, like she's at the same time, like we know we can figure it out, but we know we have her at the same time. That makes sense. So it's just like we trust her, she trusts us. So it works out.
So I'm going to take it back to our shared background here in good old Westchester County. So for those unaware, and I'm sure there are many that will be listening to this, Scarsdale, New York, Eastchester, areas of Westchester are known for having some pretty damn good food. In Scarsdale, when I was in high school, we had what was called the Great Deli Wars, where we had 4 delis, actually. We had Lang's, we had Bonamici, Giannoni's, and Muller's, and it was very much a debate among which one was the best and which was the most popular among those in Scarsdale High School. Were you, and do you have an affinity for any of the aforementioned delis, or an opinion on which one you think is the best.
Yes, so I will say I remember going to Lang's and getting salads. I was a salad bar girl.
Mm,
So I didn't really
mhm.
get sandwiches from there. But that's gone. So is that even part of
I think we're going legacy here because Muller's was gone like before I even got to college.
Okay, yeah. And then I was gonna say Muller's I've never had, so I can't speak on that. Giannoni's, one of my best friends always talked about it and was like, "Oh, so good. You have to go." All that. I don't think I've ever been there. So Bonamici, I'm a ride or die for Bonamici for sure.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so what's the order there?
I get the 007.
Yes. Yes.
Wait, what is the double? Wait, what is it?
Gotta explain. The
I'm
007.
unfamiliar. Yeah, put me on game. What's the?
It's like on a panini kind of sandwich.
Okay.
You have chicken cutlet, bacon, mozzarella, like cheese, and then hot sauce.
Oh,
and then like my brother will always get like an extra tub of hot sauce to go with it. But yeah,
hell of an order.
Yeah,
so Tyler, for just your context here.
Yeah.
The 007 was actually named because the Scarsdale High School class of 2007 made the sandwich. And so there's like, there's like a 007, a 008, a 009 that were made by the subsequent senior classes of the high school.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. My spot, and it might, I think it's not there anymore, but it was right around the corner from you. It was a place called Scarsdale Pizza Station, which was the homie Rob would always set me up with a chicken parm roll and a chicken vodka slice. That was like the order of orders. So you said you're a salad bar girl. Are you a pizza person?
Yes, very much so. RIP to Scarsdale Pizza Station. That was
pull one out.
Very sad, but I grew up on Mezzaluna. So I would do both. I would do Mezzaluna and Scarsdale Pizza Station, but Mezzaluna was more our place because we lived like 2 minutes from both of them. But remember when Mezzaluna was on what road was that?
So it was on Scarsdale Avenue.
Yeah.
It was in the old pizza station spot.
Yeah. And then after they moved, I don't think they've ever been the same.
I
now that they're on Central Ave, it's sad. It's like we lost Scarsdale Pizza Station and Mezzaluna.
Yep. Everything changes too fast. And the food.
I'm like sad for y'all.
I know, right? Like
I feel this right now. Man.
But I promise the esoteric questions actually mean something here, because the question that I did have is when you look at what that area of Westchester County is, right? Like it's very like sports and education centric. So like for a lot of people, it's not you do a sport to become a Division I athlete. It's like you do a sport more often than not to become, to get an admission into like an Ivy League school and like play for an Ivy League school. For you, at what age did you know that this is something where like I can have both? Like I can go to a good school academically, which is kind of what the county's societal expectation is, but I'm also an elite enough athlete that I can go to a place where I can have WNBA aspirations or win an NCAA championship.
Yeah. I mean, I was always like a very big sports kid. I grew up with an older brother and older cousins, and I would always play with them in the backyard. And it was like I was the only girl playing with guys like 3-4 years older than me. And so sports was always like just very, very big in my family. And we always knew that I was good. Like I was always like bigger than the other girls or taller, but that's just what it was. Like I was a kid. So I don't think I knew or my parents knew oh, she's really good. But I don't think like collectively we were like, oh yeah, like she's definitely going to play in college or something. But I think as I grew up and I played soccer and basketball and soccer was always my number one. So I think like as I got older, I thought that soccer was going to be what I played in college. Like once I got to like middle school. But then I decided like choosing basketball over soccer my 8th grade because I made varsity in 7th grade. And then 8th grade, I made the varsity A team instead of the varsity B team. And I
Mhm.
was like, wait, like, I think I really like basketball.
Mm.
And so I started playing basketball seriously. And I think like 10th grade is when I 10th grade is when I started getting my offers. And I think that's when it really hit me and my parents, like, okay, like
Yeah.
she's definitely good enough to play somewhere. And then I think as I got older, like I started getting offers from schools like Notre Dame or like similar. And then that's when that's when I realized like, okay, I can definitely play in college and use it to get a good degree, because my parents were never going to let me go somewhere that wasn't like a high academic school. So it was always like, Sonia, you better, like, it's not an option to not go somewhere that was like just as good academically as it was basketball.
Mhm.
What was the first offer you got? That was the first, pardon my French, like, holy shit offer. Like, I can't believe this program is offering me to play basketball there.
That's hard. I think that's hard because I don't really remember exactly when I got which offer. So I don't know. Like, I know my first ever offer, I think, was in 8th grade. And I think it was
Wow.
UMass. It was UMass. So I think
Mhm.
that was my first, like, whoa, like, no one
Yeah.
got offered like a full ride to go to a school. I think that's like, that would be my answer. Because I don't really remember, like, oh, like Notre Dame offered, like,
You probably had a lot coming in.
yeah, like,
You probably had a decent amount, coming in. So
once I got older, it was like a good amount of schools were offering me. So I hate like talking like this. I sound so cocky, but
no, you don't. First off, no, Sonia, no, you don't, because you did like you are this caliber of player. So actually, I want to follow up on that. Not to put you in the spot to be cocky, but Sonia, I'm gonna ask you just to be a little bit cocky, just a little bit. Okay?
I'll try. I can't promise anything.
Yeah, no, it's
Look,
nothing
you're
crazy.
on a team with Hannah Hidalgo. Like, we're judging cocky on a
I
scale.
promise you're not gonna be like the most like you guys. It's a pretty high bar right now on this Notre Dame team. I'm just interested, right? Obviously, you kind of had mentioned like the WNBA aspirations, Andrew, and everything. I'm just intrigued. You do so many things on the court, like, and I feel like your play style is one that maybe the average basketball fan like doesn't even comprehend what is all happening on the court about how you are impacting it. I'm interested from your perspective. What do you feel like is your most underrated part of your game? Because I feel like there are so many parts of it. People talk about the defense. People talk about the floor spacing, especially when it comes to the draft and everything about what you can immediately bring. For you, what's your most underrated aspect of your game?
Most underrated. I would have to go off what you were saying. Like, the average fan might not see it, but I think I'm pretty good at, like, on the defensive side. I think I'm good at helping. Like, I might not get the steal or the block or whatever, but like, I'll be in a shift that won't, like, I'll be in a shift so that whoever's defending the girl, like, can't drive, and you know what I mean, things like that. Like, I'll be in the hoop spot or the V back. I don't know if terms are universal or teams use different ones, but if you know what that is, just like things like that. I think I'm pretty good at just being in help on defense.
See, come on, Sonia, we can get it up a little bit. We can do it. I do want to ask, kind of going back just a little bit. You mentioned the soccer aspect of your sports career. We hear about like players that have played multiple sports and everything, and like, I mean, just across, whether it be soccer or volleyball or whatever. I'm intrigued. Is there anything that you take from soccer or had like kind of took from soccer, maybe initially, like early on in your career, or even still to this day, that like, because I feel like especially with AAU and how that's increased, like the specialization in one sport is kind of on the up. I'm interested for you. Is there anything that you take from playing the different sports? And obviously you made your decision pretty early on that basketball was going to be the one, but is there any aspect of soccer that you feel helped your game?
I mean, I think, like, looking at it now, I don't know specifically what, but like, when I was playing both sports, like, I started playing soccer when I was 4. So that was really my sport.
Yeah.
And I just think that developing as like a young kid and learning how to use my feet. I think that helped me tremendously when I started playing basketball with just footwork, like being coordinated in general. Like a lot of people don't know how to, like, you can't just, if you've never played soccer, you can't just know how to kick a ball and juggle and do all those things, you know? So I think it definitely helped a lot in terms of just coordination and footwork. And then obviously, like, you have to be really in shape to play soccer. So when I was a kid, like, I was always in the best shape. I kind of miss it now. I feel like I miss that soccer shape. But yeah. And then I think maybe like seeing the court. Like I played a lot of different positions when I was in soccer, but I was like a midfielder for the most part. When I played club, I was a midfielder. So that definitely, like, that takes seeing the field, obviously.
Right.
So yeah, I do think that it's helped me in ways that I might not even know today. Just having that background.
So one of the things that I've noticed lately, Notre Dame is a lot more on my TV during commercial breaks than they've ever been. I'm so curious about, in an NIL era, when you're basically, you know, your team is asked to be a part of a commercial. What was that like? And was it kind of strange being in a full-on national TV spot like that?
It was really cool. Well, like when we first got asked, I was like, oh, it'll just be like one of those commercials that are like not on TV, but just like maybe on your phone, or you know what I mean? Like I didn't really believe it was gonna be like on TV, like what we see when we're watching TV. So I was like, oh yeah, like I was telling my parents, my family, like, oh, I'm gonna be in like an Allstate commercial. But again, I didn't think it was anything serious. And then we got there, and it took like all day for this 30-second commercial. And I think the first thing we all said is like, imagine making a movie. So much respect for like things that were like just making a movie or being an actress or in general, because we were really there for like 8 hours. And it came out beautiful. Like it was cool to see like what we did and then how it turned out and how they put it all together. But we were exhausted after that day. Like I felt like we had just played a basketball game.
I was about to ask, how did it compare?
I was ready to go home. I was having fun like the first maybe 30 minutes, hour. I was like, oh, like this is cool. And then we just started doing the same thing over and over because you got to have like a lot of takes, obviously.
Right.
And we were like, wow, like this is something new. It was definitely cool because I've never done anything like it. So it was a cool experience, but it definitely made us appreciate like when people make movies or like TV shows. Like that is crazy.
What was the piece of stage direction that you got or saw like Hannah or Liv get where you're like, what the hell are they even? Were they like, put your hand here and tilt this way?
They were actually like, they didn't give us too many directions. I think like they knew we're not actresses, so like let's not try to do too much over here. You know? Because it was really just like, oh, pass it to Hannah. Hannah shoots it. Now we all celebrate. So like they wanted it to be natural. So it wasn't like, okay, now you high five her and then go here. Like it was very much, we kind of got to do what we wanted in that, just so that it was more natural. So like we acted like it was a real game and Hannah made a game tying shot to send it to OT. So like we all jumped up, like I chest bumped Hannah and then high fived her. And then she did the same thing with the other girls. And then like they gave us pieces of advice like, oh, look at the guy, like you're confused, but don't look at him like you hate him. Like look at him like it's funny. Like, in the beginning, we were all like looking at the guy that ran on the court, like,
right,
like the hell are
you? And then we were like, let's make it more like it's funny, like smile. So then like we changed that because we were like, oh yeah, maybe that's. Because I was like, if this happened, I would be laughing. Like, I wouldn't be looking, like, you know what I mean? Like, get off the court, I would be laughing. So they did, like, things like that. Just, like, make it, like, smile. Like, you're just, like, he's, like, being funny or something. So, like, little advice like that. But they weren't too too strict on us.
Yeah.
So on that note, and we asked this of every athlete that we have.
I was about to ask the same thing.
I knew that was what you were asking. What is, if you had to pick a dream NIL deal for yourself?
Oh God.
The dream company comes to you and says, "Sony, let's do a deal." Who is the one company that you're like, man, I wish that?
And now you're an accomplished actress too, so like you could do the commercial with it and everything as well on top of it. So you can give us the full rundown if we need, you know.
That is a hard question. Dang, you guys put me on the spot with that.
I know, but we like to manifest.
Look, we've already put the pieces in place for the Bonamici NIL deal.
That's true. That is
now we need another one for you.
So I can't say Bonamici. I don't want to be generic, so I'm trying to think of like, okay, well, I'm obsessed with popcorn.
Okay.
Like obsessed. Okay. Everybody who knows me knows like Sonia and her popcorn. So I'm trying to think of like a popcorn brand. Maybe
what's like Boom Chicka Pop, like
so I've been our trainer at Notre Dame put me on to like, you know, it's like a popcorn, like you make your own popcorn, so not the microwave one, and it's the one where you go like this on the stove.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like the old school type.
Yeah, it's like I got it from like Whirly Pop. That's the name of it. So I've been making my own popcorn with that. Like,
okay, so
like kernels, oil. Then I put my own butter and salt just to be
so you
healthy.
The whole process of like
clean instead of using like the microwave bags.
Better than me.
It also tastes so much better. But I'm trying to think like a popcorn brand that I use. Maybe
I kind of like Whirly Pop here. Like
I'm seeing the vision with Whirly Pop. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, I'm just trying to think like what the deal would be because I already have everything I need from them. Do you know what I mean?
You know, I'm just imagining the commercial now with your acting, with you cooking out the popcorn at this point.
True.
You know,
that is true.
You know, and like I mean, we've seen you cook on the court, and now you can cook the popcorn. Like it could be a whole thing. You put on a show, the Notre Dame show with the popcorn. There's something here with the popcorn.
Yeah, you guys are onto something for sure.
I can get behind this.
Yeah, I would say some kind of popcorn NIL deal.
There we go. We
speak dreams.
We try and manifest.
Here on No Cap
we try and manifest. We do our best. Sonia, I just have 2 more for you, and then we'll get you out of here. One I'm interested in, and I thought of this one earlier, and I'm just so intrigued with the way that you mentioned the connection between you and your teammates, and you know, like this, and you can tell like on the court. What is the most fun off-court activity that you and your teammates get in, whether it just be hanging out at the apartment and doing something, or if you're going somewhere in South Bend, like what is the go-to, like we're getting together and we're just having fun off the court?
I would say I have two answers for that. One is we do Bible study every week. And I think that it's the first time that I've done Bible study like that. And it's been really, really cool just because someone new does it every week. So like Liza started it the first week we ever did it, which was like before the season. And then the next week someone else will like choose a spot to have it in and like do like the topic that they want to talk about. And so it's been really cool just because it's brought us together in ways that like we just maybe wouldn't get as vulnerable, like when you're talking about things like that or things we struggle with. And so I would say that's definitely something that I really enjoyed getting to do every week. And then the second thing is when football was still going on and like our Notre Dame team was in the playoffs, Maddie and Liv would host like the whole team would come over and Maddie would make food and we would all just go over and watch the games. And that was really fun. Like Maddie and Liv were just known, like they would always host if there was a football game going. So that was really cool.
Who was getting the most rowdy during the football watch parties? Who would be the loudest cheering on?
I'm trying to. I don't know if any of us were really too rowdy. I think
You said you were just here to hang out. I respect it.
We would always talk about how like we always acted like we knew what we were talking about. Wow, like who of us have ever played football? Like none.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
we always joke around about like, oh, we're talking about like we know what they're supposed to.
That's just being a sports fan at that point. That's
Yeah, that's true. But it was, I don't know. I would say like Liv would talk.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't say, yeah, she would talk. Leah too, I think, would have some words. Honestly, we all kind of would just, we would get into it. But again, it's like, what do we know about anything? We'd be like, oh, what is he doing?
Again, that sounds.
That's quite literally what we do here.
Yeah, I'm not to say. It's just we try and hope to be right here and there, but that sounds a little familiar.
Yeah, that ATO by Niel. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Look at that sideline out of bounds. That looked good. Okay.
So
Sonia,
the last question
go
that
ahead,
I have for you brings it back to New York, right? Because when I was in high school, Sonia Chung was playing for Ossining, and it was such a big deal because you'd read in the paper her before anything that was going on with like Stepanak or Iona football, right? Like New Rochelle could get to a state championship. We're reading about Sonia Chung being recruited by UConn. And I feel like Section 1 in Westchester County, every now and then we get these talents that come through, but there is a lot of talent athletically in the area. How do you kind of see yourself as an extension of that legacy? And how do you also see your role generally kind of in Southern New York and Metro New York and in the tri-state as somebody that can be an inspiration for young girls that are coming up and want to play basketball at the highest level? Because like we have Stewie, but Stewie's an upstate kid in that respect, right? So like there's a bit of New York element with her, but I feel like her resonance exists up more in like the Syracuse area. Like where do you see yourself, especially now and as your career advances, as being that type of inspirational figure for girls in Westchester and North Jersey and Connecticut and all of those places in the tri-state area?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. I mean, it's kind of weird because like I never really think about myself like that, like I just think obviously I'm a kid that came from New York, Westchester County, and like I'm a pretty good basketball player, so I got to go to Notre Dame, and now it's weird because that's coming to a close, so I'm either gonna make it to the W, obviously that's the hope, or not, but I think I've started to realize like how big of an impact we have as women, like as basketball players, like when after a game at Notre Dame, like all the little kids are coming up and asking us for like our signatures, are just like so happy to see us. And it's definitely something I've started to realize because my freshman, sophomore year, like I would get maybe a couple kids like here and there would ask, but I just think that women's sports in general is just growing so much. And that's definitely making me realize again, like the impact that someone like me could have. So, I mean, obviously I just want to show people that like, whatever you want to do, you can do, like, especially from Eastchester, the, like you were talking about, just those areas, like if you want to do it, you can do it, and hopefully like if they see me doing it, that just inspires them just a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I really feel like I haven't done anything yet, so that like, obviously like I've had a pretty good career, but I feel like I haven't done what I want to do yet. So that's why it's like, when you talk about Stewie or someone like her, like, and the legacy and the impact that she has, like, I feel like we're not even in the same boat. Like, I can't even talk like that, just because like I still want to win a natty. I still want to make it to the W, and those things just haven't happened yet. So,
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty confident in a decent amount of that happening.
Unfortunately, so
Yeah, I think we could, don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We could probably check that box off here pretty soon.
We can come back in a couple months and see.
We'll do
Doors
it.
open for you.
Put us on the schedule. Sonia, we appreciate your time. Just the last one that I have, and we'll wrap it up here. But we talked before we click recording. This is going by fast, and you had just mentioned that this is winding down at Notre Dame. A couple home games left, obviously, hosting the tournament as well on the way, but with the regular season coming to a close. I'm just interested for you. Are you just kind of in the moment right now? Is it like, and like, how do you kind of balance, obviously staying in the moment for these games and everything, but also understanding that this chapter of your career is coming to a close?
Yeah. It's definitely been a struggle. Just because when I haven't been in this position before, because obviously, again, freshman, sophomore, junior year, it's like, oh, I'm coming back next year. So I don't really have anything to worry about, or I don't have anything like to think about after this, like after the season. So all my focus was on the season. So coming into this year, I definitely wanted to get my mental right, just because I know how important that is. And it was cool because so my boyfriend was in a similar position to me last year. So he was a fifth year that was going to declare for the draft. So he kind of went through what I am going through right now. And we had like a lot of talks about it, just how obviously it's hard not to think about it. Like the WNBA after the season, like it's such a big thing. It's hard not to think about it, but I play my best when I'm not overthinking. And I think this year I struggled a little bit about like, oh, I didn't play a good game. Oh no, like what are scouts thinking? What are coaches thinking? What, you know what I mean? And when I'm thinking about that, that's making me play worse. So like I have to get out of my own head, because if I'm just thinking about basketball, the season, this game, then I'm not worried about what's going to happen after, So I think it definitely took me a while, but it's just like I'm trusting God and I'm trusting His plan. And I know that whatever is supposed to happen is going to happen. So just let that be, like I'm not thinking about the W right now. I'm just thinking that if I like try my best, have fun, and embrace every game that we have in this season, that's going to help, because if I'm playing my best, that means that our team is doing better, which means that we're going to go further in the tournament, which means more eyes on us, so it's like an effect. So yeah, I'm really just trying to like take it day by day, because like you said, I realize I have 3 regular home season games. That's, you know what I mean? So hopefully like I have 5 more games like in Purcell, but I'm like, this is crazy. Like what am I doing worrying about what's after, when like this huge part of my life that I love so much is coming to a close? Like why not use everything I have to just embrace it and enjoy it while I have it? Because if I just let it go by, I'm gonna look back and be like, dang, like I was worrying about the W and not even enjoying the last couple of chances I had to play in front of like a home crowd. So I think it's definitely taken me a little bit to get here, but I'm definitely just now, enjoying it, not overthinking, just having fun, because again, Notre Dame is such a huge part of my life and I've loved playing here. So I just want to take every bit I can to just enjoy it while I can.
I love
They're
it.
going to play that quote in sports psychology class.
Man.
I love that perspective.
Absolutely. Well, Sonia, thank you so much for your time. We're excited to see both these last games at Notre Dame, and we're incredibly excited to see what the future holds for you. We're major fans of your game and very appreciative of you coming and taking the time with us.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for having me again. It was fun.
Absolutely. You're welcome back anytime. It's an open door, Sonia. But thank y'all for tapping in here with us at the No Cap Space Luxury Tax. We got it on the website, on the podcast platforms. We got it here on the YouTube as well. So make sure you're subscribed across the board, and we'll see you next time.